everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Molly, also known as Mojo when I'm on the trail. And earlier this year, I thru hiked the entire Appalachian Trail, and it was probably one of the best experiences of my life. Being uncomfortable is just part of thru hiking. You have to be able to embrace the suck in order to get the greatest rewards. With that being said, there are some things that you can do in order to reduce the suck and increase your odds of finishing your thru hike. Today I'm going to go over 5 of the most unpleasant parts of thru hiking and give you some ideas and strategies on ways to combat those and make it suck a little bit less. So the first thing that sucks about thru hiking is probably one of the most obvious, and that is wearing the same dirty, stinky, sweaty clothes day after day after day, and this includes socks. Those just got really nasty, and there's not a lot you can do about that when you're in the middle of the woods hiking for days. We made it to the top of the climb, just a bit sweaty. So my advice to make this suck a little bit less is to have a pair of extra clothes that you can change into when you get to camp. In the winter, you'll probably want this to be some warm base layers, something that's going to keep you nice and toasty when the temperatures are really cold. And then in the summer, something a lot lighter, like a lightweight t-shirt and shorts, something like that, just so that you have a pair of clean, dry, less smelly clothes to put on when you get to camp and maybe feel just a little bit fresher. As far as socks, I had 1 pair of liner socks and 1 pair of hiking socks that I carried with me. I replaced the liner socks a few times, but I would honestly suggest doing it more often. I think that could have helped some of the foot problems that I had when I was on the trail, just replacing those liner socks a little bit more. And I know a lot of hikers that carried a lot more socks than I did. I know some that carried like 2 pairs of liners and 2 to 3 pairs of hiking socks, so that when they were sweaty and dirty and wet from rain and stuff like that, that you could have a more dry pair of socks. Your feet are really important to take care of while you're on the trail. They're ultimately what's going to get you from point A to point B every day, and so you really do have to think about them and think about ways to take care of them, which might mean adding a little bit more weight to your pack in order to have some extra clean, dry socks. The next thing that really sucks about thru hiking is something that I really wasn't expecting before I started the trail, but that's just how itchy thru hiking can be. This can be caused by a variety of different things, whether it's bug bites, poison ivy, just other rashes. A plethora of different things can cause discomfort and itchiness, and it's something that kind of follows you throughout a lot of the trail, especially during bug season, mosquito season, when you're just being eaten alive by bugs. There are a million bugs out, and I'm getting so many bug bites. When I was in Virginia, I got a lot of bug bites on my ankles and on my hands after sleeping in a shelter, and it was quite awful, but again, you just have to keep hiking. So luckily I had some anti-itch cream with me in my pack, so I was able to put that on to help soothe some of those bites. Before leaving for the trail, I also did a little bit of research and found some pictures of what poison ivy looks like. I'm from the West Coast, so I'm more familiar with poison oak, but I wanted to make sure that I knew what poison ivy looked like before I started the AT so that I could avoid it as much as possible. I'm really susceptible to poison oak, so I figured it would probably be the same with poison ivy, so I just did not want to have to deal with that at all on trail. I had gotten poison oak the summer before and had gotten a prescription cream that I actually brought with me just in case I did get some poison ivy, and that was really nice to have on hand just in case. So the third thing that really sucks about thru hiking is getting sick on trail. There are a few different things that can make you sick while you're on trail. Some of those are giardia, norovirus, Lyme's disease, common cold, flu, COVID, things like that. So there's kind of a lot that you have to worry about while you're out there as far as trying to stay healthy and whatnot. Luckily, I never got Giardia, Noro, or Lyme's disease. I was very blessed, but I did take some precautions in order to help decrease my chances of getting these things. As far as Giardia, I filtered all of my water from every single water source. I didn't want to take any chances. I used a Sawyer squeeze. On top of that, for Noro, if we had heard rumors of there being Noro in a shelter, or people who had Noro stayed in a shelter, I avoided sleeping in that shelter or touching any of the surfaces, using the picnic table, things like that. It was also kind of unclear sometimes the information that you got, whether it was like the shelter area that could have been contaminated or the water source near that shelter was contaminated. If I was to get water from a source that was questionable, I made sure to use aqua tabs. I carried some with me in my pack just in case, and I used these throughout the entire Smoky Mountain stretch just to be safe, because I really did not want to get norovirus. As far as Lyme disease, before I left for the Appalachian Trail, I sprayed all of my gear with permethrin, and I reapplied it 3 times while on the trail as well, just to help prevent ticks getting on my clothing and getting on me. I would also try to do tick checks to make sure that some didn't get on my skin and embed themselves in me while I was hiking. I did this pretty frequently just to make sure I wasn't missing anything every night or during the day while we were hiking. If we had just gone through some tall grass, things like that, I would make sure to check my leg. I was very fortunate in not getting those illnesses, but I did get a cold, and I also got another illness, maybe the flu, maybe COVID, while I was on the trail. Yeah, I think I have a little bit of a cold, which is a bummer. I have a little bit of a sore throat and some congestion. And I was surprised at just how hard that was on my body to recover from that. The cold that I got was near the beginning of the trail. I was maybe like 12 days in. And at home, normally that would take me maybe 3 to 4 days to recover from, but on the trail, it took closer to 10 days. It just lingered a lot more than usual. And then when I was sick in Vermont, I was really quite sick. I had the worst headache that I've ever had in my life. I really wasn't sure if I was going to be able to hike into town. But the headache that I had yesterday didn't really get better overnight. If anything, it got worse. I think we're only gonna hike like 11.5 miles into Bennington instead of trying to push further. Took some ibuprofen and that seems to be helping, so yeah, hopefully it gets better soon. But I made it, and I took a 0 day and felt okay enough to keep hiking, but I couldn't do the miles that I wanted. I had to take a lot more breaks. But I'm still not feeling the greatest. Yeah, gonna try to get some sleep and hope that that helps. And I feel a little bit better tomorrow. And honestly, I felt pretty exhausted from the first day I felt sick all the way until Monson, Maine. I really didn't feel like I had all of my energy back. I was pushing myself pretty hard to keep up with some of the people I was hiking with because I really wanted to hike with them and summit with my friends. So that was probably part of that. I didn't really give my body enough time to recover, but that was the decision that I had made for myself. I was really happy when I did get sick that I had at least some medicine with me. I had ibuprofen, Midol, and Tylenol PM, and I used these in those instances that I just talked about. I know we all wish that every single day we went out on the trail, it would just be the perfect weather. There'd be blue skies, not too hot, not too cold. Just the weather would be perfect and pleasant. But that is not the case when you're on a thru hike. You can't just hike on the nice days. You have to hike on the sucky days as well. The fourth thing about thru hiking that sucks is some of the extreme weather that you will encounter. Some examples are extreme cold, extreme heat, and lots of rain. So for each of these, you want to prepare a little differently. Obviously, for cold temperatures, you want to make sure that you have enough layers and warm clothing with you and the right temperature sleeping bag. for rain, you want to make sure you have some layers that are going to protect you from that water, either a rain jacket, a poncho, an umbrella, some rain mitts, rain pants, things like that. And then for the heat, I think this one for me was probably the hardest to prepare for. I'm not used to the humidity that the East Coast gets. On the West Coast, I feel like in the summer, yeah, it gets really hot, but it usually cools down at night. That is not what I found to be the case on the East Coast. At night, I was expecting it to get a lot cooler, and it felt like it maybe cooled down like 5 to 10 degrees, but you were still really sweaty and hot when you were sleeping, and I wasn't super used to that. Some things that I did while hiking through the heat was to drink a lot of water and also replenish electrolytes. So I had some element packets that I would take with me, and I would drink those on the really hot days. But I do think that it's really important if you are going to be hiking in really cold, hot, or rainy conditions to know the signs and symptoms of hypothermia, dehydration, heat stroke, heat exhaustion, things like that. Just knowing the symptoms and doing a little bit of research ahead of time, I think, is really important so that you can identify if one of those things is happening to you in the backcountry. So hypothermia is something that can happen to you if you're hiking in really cold temperatures. I'm going to put some of the symptoms up here on the screen that you might want to look out for if you're hiking in colder temperatures. When we were in the Smokies, it got down to around 22 degrees one of the nights that we were there, which was pretty chilly, but I felt like I had enough layers and things with me that I was perfectly fine. While I was on the Appalachian Trail in Pennsylvania, we experienced a heat wave. I think we're at Pulpit Rock, and it is really hot today, and I'm feeling it. And I think I had a little bit of heat exhaustion. It was a little bit of a scary situation, scary feeling to be experiencing that. I'd never felt that before, but I knew that I needed shade and a lot of water and to take it easy that day. It was really hot today, and I don't know if I was drinking enough water, so I wasn't feeling the best. I had a headache for a while and it's just low energy, so I'm gonna do better tomorrow about drinking more water. So some signs of heat exhaustion that you want to look out for, I'll go ahead and put those up here. And heat stroke as well is another thing that you need to look out for. Some of the symptoms are pretty similar, but I'll put those over here on the screen. I suggest doing your own research. There's some really good podcasts out there about what to look for and a lot more advice, because I'm obviously not a medical professional, but I just think that it's really important to at least have an idea of what to look for in yourself or fellow hikers on the trail. And lastly, the fifth thing about thru hiking that just completely sucks is finishing your thru hike. At least for me, I was not ready to be done. I was having the best time, loving almost every minute of it, and I really did not want to return to reality yet. I wanted about a week and a half off of hiking to rest and recover a little bit, let my body heal, but I really was not ready to stop hiking every day and having all of those wonderful experiences. So that was pretty hard, and part of that is also leaving the friendships that you have made along the way, having to do more of the long distance friendship thing in order to keep in touch with fellow hikers and maintain those relationships that you made on the trail. I'd say this is probably the hardest thing to prepare for, those post-trail blues and readjustment period. I don't think I have it figured out yet. I don't know exactly how to combat that, but some things that I did was I tried to stay active when I first got home, and I'm still trying to do that now. Still trying to get out and hike when I can, going on walks, exercising, things like that, and also trying to keep in touch with trail friends and check in with each other and see how everyone is doing, because we're all going through a pretty similar thing, so just being there to support one another I think is really important. Well, those are 5 reasons why thru hiking absolutely sucks. After watching this video, if you still think it it's for you. I am so happy for you. I just encourage everyone to get out there and try if this is something that they're dreaming of, because it really is just an amazing life-changing experience, and I think everyone should do it. Yeah, hopefully you got a little bit out of this video. I had fun making it. I can talk about through hiking for hours and hours. Not all of it is sunshine and rainbow, so hopefully you got a little bit of information out of this about ways to make it suck a little bit less. But if you have any questions, like always, put those in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you all so much for watching and continuing to watch my videos since I've been home. Mighty fine hiking, everyone. Bye!